bold introduction. What if there was a city so powerful, so influential, that the entire fate of a nation seemed to revolve around its streets? Imagine a place where billionaires rub shoulders with politicians, where fortunes are made and lost in the blink of an eye, and where every major decision that shapes the country's future is whispered behind closed doors. That city is Moscow, a metropolis that stands not just as the capital of Russia, but as the beating heart of its ambition, its secrets, and its controversies. Moscow isn't just another European city with grand architecture and bustling avenues. It's a world unto itself, a place where the rules are different, the stakes are higher, and the stories are bigger than life. For some, it's a city of endless opportunity, a magnet for the brightest minds and the boldest dreamers. For others, it's a fortress of privilege where the elite live in a reality far removed from the struggles of ordinary people. The city's skyline tells a story of rapid transformation. Ancient cathedrals stand in the shadow of glass skyscrapers, while luxury cars speed past monuments that have witnessed centuries of upheaval. But beneath the surface, Moscow is a city of contradictions. It's a place where unimaginable wealth and stark poverty exist side by side, where power is both celebrated and feared, and where every corner seems to hold a new secret. The city's energy is electric, its pace relentless, and its influence impossible to ignore. Whether you see Moscow as a symbol of hope or a fortress of power, one thing is certain. This city is unlike any other, and its story is far from simple. So what really makes Moscow tick? What are the hidden forces that drive its rise, and what are the costs of living in a city that never stops moving? As we peel back the layers of Moscow's glittering facade, get ready to discover a side of the city that few outsiders ever see. Because in Moscow, nothing is ever quite as it seems, and the truth is always just out of reach. But that's only the beginning. Moscow, the heartbeat of Russia. Step into Moscow, and you'll quickly realize this isn't just the capital of Russia. It's the country's nerve center, the place where every major thread of Russian life converges. Unlike other nations where power and influence are spread across multiple cities, Russia's lifeblood flows straight into Moscow. In the United States, you might find Hollywood's glitz in Los Angeles, tech innovation in Silicon Valley, and financial might in New York. But in Russia, all of these worlds collide in one place. Moscow is where the country's biggest corporations set up their headquarters, where the government's most powerful offices are located, and where the nation's wealth is concentrated. It's no wonder that for millions of Russians, Moscow represents the ultimate destination, a city that promises opportunity, status, and a taste of something bigger. But this centralization comes at a price. The city's influence is so overwhelming that it often feels like the rest of Russia is orbiting around it, struggling to keep up. Every year, thousands of ambitious young people leave their hometowns behind, drawn by the promise of better jobs, higher salaries, and a shot at success. Moscow's universities are considered the best in the country, attracting students from every corner of Russia who dream of making it big. The city's streets are alive with energy, filled with people chasing their next big break, whether it's in business, technology, or the arts. Yet for all its promise, Moscow can also feel like a fortress, imposing, competitive, and sometimes unforgiving. The city's sheer size is staggering, with more than 12 million people calling it home. Skyscrapers tower over historic neighborhoods, and the constant hum of traffic is a reminder that this is a city always on the move. For many Russians, Moscow is both a symbol of hope and a source of frustration, a place where dreams can come true, but only for those willing to fight for their place in the crowd. Still, there's no denying Moscow's magnetic pull. It's the city where decisions are made, fortunes are built, and the future of Russia is shaped every single day. And as the city continues to grow and evolve, its role as the heartbeat of the nation only becomes more undeniable. But behind the glittering lights and grand ambitions, a different story is unfolding. One that reveals just how deep the divide between Moscow's haves and have-nots really goes. The Billionaire Playground walk down the bustling avenues of Moscow, and you'll see a city that wears its wealth on its sleeve. Flashy supercars glide past centuries-old cathedrals, luxury boutiques line the streets, and high-rise penthouses glitter above the city like jewels. Moscow isn't just Russia's capital, it's one of the world's richest cities, a playground for billionaires and a showcase for unimaginable fortunes. In fact, Moscow consistently ranks among the top cities globally for the number of billionaires who call it home, even outpacing places like London and Hong Kong. But how did so much wealth end up concentrated in one place? The answer lies in Moscow's unique position at the crossroads of power and opportunity. After the fall of the Soviet Union, a new class of ultra-wealthy business magnates, often called oligarchs, emerged almost overnight. These individuals seized control of vast industries, from oil and gas to banking and real estate, and quickly turned Moscow into their personal stage. Today, their influence is everywhere, from the exclusive nightclubs and private art galleries to the gated communities that dot the city's outskirts. The city's skyline is a testament to their ambition, with gleaming skyscrapers and luxury developments rising higher every year. But for every Ferrari or Bentley parked outside a five-star hotel, there are countless Muscovites who can only dream of such extravagance. The income gap in Moscow is staggering, with the city's richest residents living lives of almost surreal luxury, while many others struggle to get by on modest salaries. It's not uncommon to see a brand new sports car speed past a line of people waiting for the metro, or to find high-end restaurants packed with diners while street vendors hustle for every ruble. This stark contrast is a daily reality in Moscow, fueling both envy and aspiration among those who witness it. Rumors and speculation swirl around the sources of this wealth. Some say the city's billionaires have mastered the art of navigating Russia's complex political landscape, while others whisper about backroom deals and fortunes made in the shadows. What's clear is that Moscow's elite enjoy privileges that set them apart from ordinary citizens, creating a world within a world, one that's both dazzling and deeply divisive. And as the city's wealth continues to grow, so does the sense that Moscow is a place where anything is possible, if you have the right connections. But privilege in Moscow isn't just about money. It's about power, and the next layer of the city's story reveals just how far that power can reach. Power and privilege, the Untouchables. In Moscow, wealth is only part of the equation. True influence comes from power, and in this city, the lines between the two are often blurred. The corridors of Moscow's government buildings are filled with individuals whose authority extends far beyond their official titles. These are the Untouchables, high-ranking officials, political insiders, and business tycoons who operate in a world most Muscovites can only imagine. Their privileges are not just whispered about. They're seen every day on the city's streets, where a fleet of blacked-out luxury vehicles topped with flashing blue sirens cut through traffic with impunity. These migalki, as locals call them, are more than just status symbols. They're a daily reminder of who really runs the city. It's estimated that hundreds of these special vehicles are authorized to ignore traffic laws, speed through red lights, and even force ambulances or fire trucks to yield. For ordinary citizens, this creates a sense of frustration and helplessness. Imagine sitting in gridlock for hours, only to watch a convoy of government cars breeze past, their drivers immune to the rules that everyone else must follow. This isn't just a matter of convenience, it's a visible sign of the deep divide between Moscow's elite and everyone else. The city's most powerful figures rarely interact with the public. Many live in exclusive gated communities on the outskirts, shielded from the noise and chaos of daily life. Their children attend private schools, their vacations are spent abroad, and their social circles are tightly controlled. Rumors suggest that some of these officials go years without ever setting foot on the metro or mingling with ordinary Muscovites. Their world is one of private security, luxury estates, and exclusive clubs, an existence that feels almost untouchable. For those outside this inner circle, the message is clear. In Moscow, connections matter more than anything else. If you're not part of the system, you're left to navigate the city's challenges on your own, always aware that there's another, more privileged world operating just out of reach. This separation isn't just about comfort, it shapes the very fabric of Moscow's society. The sense of being second class is something many residents quietly accept, even as they dream of breaking into the ranks of the powerful. But while privilege can open doors, it also comes with its own risks and pressures. The higher you climb in Moscow, the more you have to lose, and the more fiercely you have to protect what you've gained. Yet, despite these barriers, the city remains a magnet for those chasing opportunity, determined to carve out their own place in Moscow's ever-shifting hierarchy. And for many, the promise of success is enough to keep them moving forward, no matter how high the odds. But what is it about Moscow that draws so many to its gates? And what does it really take to thrive in a city where the stakes are always rising? The answer lies in the relentless pursuit of opportunity that defines life in Russia's capital. The city of opportunity? And pressure for millions across Russia, Moscow is more than just a city. It's a promise. The promise of a better life, a bigger paycheck, and a shot at something extraordinary. Every year, waves of ambitious young people pack their bags and head for the capital, hoping to carve out their own success story. The city's reputation as a land of opportunity is legendary. Here, salaries are higher than anywhere else in the country, and the sheer number of international companies, tech startups, and creative agencies means that if you have talent and drive, you just might make it. English is spoken more widely, global brands are everywhere, and the city's business scene is as fast-paced as any in Europe or the US. But with opportunity comes relentless pressure. Moscow's rhythm is unforgiving. Everyone seems to be in a hurry, chasing the next deal, the next promotion, the next big break. The competition is fierce, and the cost of living is a constant reminder that success here doesn't come cheap. Housing prices are sky high, especially in the city center, where even a modest apartment can cost a small fortune. For many newcomers, the dream of owning a home in Moscow remains just that, a dream. Renting is the norm, and even then, finding a decent place in a good neighborhood can feel like a battle. The city's social scene is just as intense. Networking isn't just encouraged, it's essential. From business conferences to exclusive parties, every event is a chance to meet someone who might open a door or offer a crucial connection. Moscow's nightlife is legendary, with bars, clubs, and restaurants catering to every taste and budget. But keeping up with the city's pace can be exhausting, and the pressure to succeed never really lets up. For some, the constant hustle is exhilarating, a sign that they're living at the center of the action. For others, it's a source of stress and burnout, a reminder that in Moscow, you're only as good as your last achievement. Yet, despite the challenges, the city's magnetic pull never fades. The chance to rub shoulders with celebrities, business leaders, and influencers is a daily reality. Open events with famous speakers and TV stars are common, and the sense that anything is possible keeps people striving for more. In Moscow, ambition is the currency, and those who can keep up with the city's relentless pace often find themselves rewarded in ways they never imagined. But beneath the surface of this glittering metropolis, another transformation is taking place, one that's changing not just how the city looks, but how it feels to live here. Moscow's makeover is more than just skin deep, and the next chapter reveals how the city is reinventing itself for a new generation. Moscow's makeover. Green spaces and glamour. Moscow's reputation as a city of concrete and ambition is only half the story. In recent years, the city has undergone a dramatic transformation, trading some of its old, gray image for a vibrant, modern, and surprisingly green new look. The city's leaders have poured resources into renovating public spaces, creating pedestrian-friendly zones, and turning Moscow into a place where people don't just work, they actually want to spend their free time. The results are hard to ignore. Today, Moscow boasts more green areas than cities like London or New York, with sprawling parks, tree-lined boulevards, and riverside walkways that invite residents to slow down and enjoy the moment. Take a stroll through the city center, and you'll find yourself surrounded by a blend of old-world charm and cutting-edge design. The famous Gorky Park, once a symbol of Soviet leisure, has been completely reimagined. Now, it's a hotspot for everyone from families to fitness enthusiasts, offering everything from free Wi-Fi and bike rentals to open-air movie nights and trendy food trucks. Deck chairs and puffs dot the lawns, fountains bubble in the summer heat, and the city's youth gather for skateboarding, music, and socializing. It's a far cry from the Moscow of decades past, and it's a transformation that locals are proud to show off. But the city's makeover isn't just about parks and playgrounds. Moscow's skyline has changed dramatically too. The Moscow City District, with its gleaming skyscrapers and futuristic architecture, stands as a symbol of the city's ambition to compete on the world stage. Here, international companies set up shop in glass towers, luxury apartments offer panoramic views, and high-end restaurants serve up global cuisine to a cosmopolitan crowd. Even the city's historic sites have been given new life, with careful renovations that blend tradition and modernity. The result is a city that feels both timeless and cutting-edge, where you can wander from centuries-old cathedrals to ultra-modern shopping malls in a matter of minutes. This new Moscow is designed to impress, and it does. The city's cultural scene is thriving, with world-class museums, art galleries, and theaters drawing crowds from around the globe. Whether you're a foodie, a history buff, or just looking for a place to relax, Moscow offers something for everyone. The city's transformation has made it more livable, more beautiful, and more exciting than ever before. But beneath the surface of this glamorous new image, some old problems remain. Problems that no amount of renovation can fully erase. As Moscow continues to reinvent itself, the question remains, can the city's new face truly hide the shadows that still linger in its streets? The answer lies in the challenges that come with life in a city where change is constant, and not everyone gets to share in the benefits. The dark side: surveillance, corruption, and danger beneath Moscow's polished surface and vibrant city life. A different reality quietly shapes the daily experience of its residents. For all its glamour and opportunity, Moscow is also a city where a sense of being watched is never far away. Security gates and metal detectors are a routine part of entering public buildings, shopping centers, and even some parks. Surveillance. Cameras are everywhere. Their silent gaze a constant reminder that privacy is a luxury few can afford. For newcomers, this level of scrutiny can feel unsettling, but for Muscovites, it's simply part of the city's DNA, a trade-off for living in a place where power and influence are always in play. But the feeling of being monitored isn't the only shadow that hangs over Moscow. Corruption remains a stubborn part of the city's reputation, with stories of bribery and backroom deals surfacing regularly in both local gossip and international headlines. While the city's elite enjoy privileges that seem untouchable, ordinary, citizens often find themselves navigating a maze of bureaucracy where a well-placed gift can open doors or speed up paperwork. It's an open secret, and one that many accept as the price of doing business in Russia's capital. Yet some of the city's darkest moments have made global headlines, casting a long shadow over Moscow's image. Over the past decade, a series of high-profile contract killings have rocked the city, targeting politicians, journalists, and outspoken critics. The assassination of Anna Politkovskaya, a fearless investigative journalist, sent shockwaves through the international community. The murder of Boris Nemtsov, a prominent opposition leader, just steps from the Kremlin's walls, was a chilling reminder of the risks faced by those who challenge the status quo. These events have fueled speculation and rumors about the true extent of power struggles behind the scenes, with many left wondering just how safe it is to speak out in Moscow. Despite these dangers, the city's streets feel surprisingly safe for most residents and visitors. Violent crime rates are lower than in many other major cities, and the biggest risks often come from petty theft or scams rather than outright violence. Still, the sense of unease lingers, especially for those who dare to question authority or push for change. In Moscow, the line between security and control is thin, and the consequences of crossing it can be severe. As the city continues to modernize and attract new talent, these old challenges remain stubbornly persistent. The promise of opportunity is always balanced by the reality of risk, and every Muscovite learns to navigate this delicate dance. But even as the city's shadows grow longer, life in Moscow never slows down. The next challenge is always just around the corner, whether it's a traffic jam, a housing crisis, or the daily grind of urban survival. And for those determined to make it here, the city's relentless pace is both a test and a thrill, pushing everyone to keep moving, no matter what obstacles stand in the way. The daily grind, traffic, metro, and urban challenges. If there's one thing every Muscovite knows all too well, it's the daily struggle of simply getting from point A to point B. Moscow's sheer size is staggering, and its sprawling network of roads and highways is both a marvel and a headache. The city's main avenues, like the massive Kutuzovsky Prospect and the endless Garden Ring, are built to handle millions of cars, yet traffic jams are a daily ritual. It's not unusual for commuters to spend an hour or more just crawling to work in the morning, only to repeat the ordeal on the way home. The city's population has exploded over the past 2 decades, and with it, the number of cars has skyrocketed, now numbering in the millions and growing every year. For many, the red glow of brake lights stretching to the horizon is as much a symbol of Moscow as its iconic onion domes. But while the roads are often gridlocked, Moscow's metro system is a world of its own. Known locally as the Metro, it's not just a way to get around, it's a lifeline for the city. With over 200 stations and more being added every year, the Moscow Metro is one of the busiest and most efficient in the world. Its ornate stations, decorated with chandeliers, mosaics, and marble columns, are a point of pride for locals and a wonder for visitors. Every day, millions of people descend into this underground world, moving with a sense of purpose and urgency that matches the city's relentless pace. The metro runs like clockwork, but during rush hour, the crowds can be overwhelming, and personal space becomes a distant memory. Despite the city's efforts to modernize its transport, challenges remain. Parking is a constant headache, especially in the city center, where finding a legal spot can feel like winning the lottery. The rise of car sharing and bike sharing services has helped, but Moscow's vast distances and unpredictable weather mean that most people still rely on cars or public transit. For those who dream of escaping the city for a weekend in nature, the journey can be just as daunting. Traffic jams stretch for kilometers, and reaching the nearest forest or lake can take hours. Environmental concerns are also growing, as the city's endless stream of vehicles contributes to air pollution and noise. While Moscow has invested in green spaces and cleaner public transport, the battle against congestion and smog is far from over. For many residents, the daily grind is a test of patience and endurance, a reminder that life in a world-class city comes with its own set of sacrifices. Yet, in true Muscovite fashion, people adapt. They learn to navigate the chaos, find shortcuts, and make the most of every moment. The city's energy is infectious, and even the frustrations of daily life become part of the Moscow experience. But as the city continues to grow and evolve, a deeper question emerges. Is Moscow's relentless expansion leaving the rest of Russia behind? The answer lies in the growing divide between the capital and the regions, a divide that's shaping the future of the entire country. The daily grind, traffic, metro, and urban challenges, if there's one thing every Muscovite knows all too well, it's the daily struggle of simply getting from point A to point B. Moscow's sheer size is staggering, and its sprawling network of roads and highways is both a marvel and a headache. The city's main avenues, like the massive Kutuzovsky Prospect and the endless Garden Ring, are built to handle millions of cars, yet traffic jams are a daily ritual. It's not unusual for commuters to spend an hour or more just crawling to work in the morning, only to repeat the ordeal on the way home. The city's population has exploded over the past 2 decades, and with it, the number of cars has skyrocketed, now numbering in the millions and growing every year. For many, the red glow of brake lights stretching to the horizon is as much a symbol of Moscow as its iconic onion domes. But while the roads are often gridlocked, Moscow's metro system is a world of its own. Known locally as the metro, it's not just a way to get around, it's a lifeline for the city. With over 200 stations and more being added every year, the Moscow Metro is one of the busiest and most efficient in the world. Its ornate stations, decorated with chandeliers, mosaics, and marble columns, are a point of pride for locals and a wonder for visitors. Every day, millions of people descend into this underground world, moving with a sense of purpose and urgency that matches the city's relentless pace. The metro runs like clockwork, but during rush hour, the crowds can be overwhelming, and personal space becomes a distant memory. Despite the city's efforts to modernize its transport, challenges remain. Parking is a constant headache, especially in the city center, where finding a legal spot can feel like winning the lottery. The rise of car sharing and bike sharing services has helped, but Moscow's vast distances and unpredictable weather mean that most people still rely on cars or public transit. For those who dream of escaping the city for a weekend in nature, the journey can be just as daunting. Traffic jams stretch for kilometers, and reaching the nearest forest or lake can take hours. Environmental concerns are also growing, as the city's endless stream of vehicles contributes to air pollution and noise. While Moscow has invested in green spaces and cleaner public transport, the battle against congestion and smog is far from over. For many residents, the daily grind is a test of patience and endurance, a reminder that life in a world-class city comes with its own set of sacrifices. Yet, in true Muscovite fashion, people adapt. They learn to navigate the chaos, find shortcuts, and make the most of every moment. The city's energy is infectious, and even the frustrations of daily life become part of the Moscow experience. But as the city continues to grow and evolve, a deeper question emerges. Is Moscow's relentless expansion leaving the rest of Russia behind? The answer lies in the growing divide between the capital and the regions, a divide that's shaping the future of the entire country. Moscow versus the rest of Russia. For all its glittering lights and relentless energy, Moscow can sometimes feel like a world apart from the rest of Russia. The divide between the capital and the regions isn't just about geography, it's about opportunity, wealth, and even identity. While Moscow races ahead with its skyscrapers, luxury boutiques, and international business deals, many other Russian cities struggle to keep up. Facing economic stagnation, fewer jobs, and a slower pace of life. This gap is more than just a talking point. It's a reality that shapes the lives of millions. The phenomenon known as the brain drain is especially pronounced here. Every year, the country's brightest students, most talented professionals, and ambitious entrepreneurs flock to Moscow, drawn by the promise of higher salaries, better education, and a shot at the big leagues. Universities in the capital are considered the best in Russia, and the city's job market is unmatched. But as Moscow gathers the nation's top minds, regional cities are left with fewer resources and less talent, making it even harder for them to compete. It's a cycle that feeds itself, with Moscow growing stronger and the rest of the country falling further behind. This centralization of power and wealth has sparked plenty of debate and more than a little resentment. Some Russians see Moscow as a symbol of hope, a place where dreams can come true if you're willing to work for them. Others view it as a fortress of privilege, hoarding the nation's riches while the rest of the country is left to fend for itself. Online forums and social media are filled with stories of people who left their hometowns for the capital, only to find that the city's promise comes with its own set of challenges. The cost of living is sky-high, competition is fierce, and the sense of community that defines smaller towns can be hard to find in Moscow's fast-paced environment. Rumors and speculation swirl about whether Moscow's dominance is actually holding Russia back. Some experts argue that the city's insatiable appetite for talent and investment is draining the regions of their potential, creating a two-tier society where opportunity is reserved for a select few. Others claim that Moscow's success is essential for the country's future, serving as a beacon that inspires innovation and progress nationwide. The truth, as always, is somewhere in between. What's clear is that the relationship between Moscow and the rest of Russia is complex, filled with both admiration and frustration. The capital's rise has brought undeniable benefits, but it's also exposed deep divisions that won't be easy to bridge. As Moscow continues to evolve, the question remains: can the city's success be shared, or will the gap only grow wider? The answer may shape not just the future of Moscow, but the destiny of Russia itself. And as we look to the city's next chapter, one thing is certain: Moscow's story is far from over. Conclusion: the city that shapes a nation, Moscow, is more than just a city. It's a living, breathing force that shapes the destiny of an entire country. For some, it's a dream realized, a place where ambition is rewarded, where the skyline is a testament to human achievement, and where every street corner pulses with possibility. For others, it's a fortress of privilege, a city whose glittering surface hides deep divides and unspoken struggles. But no matter how you see it, there's no denying that Moscow stands at the center of Russia's story, pulling people, power, and resources into its orbit. The city's rhythm is relentless, demanding that everyone who calls it home adapt or be left behind. Those who thrive here learn to move fast, think big, and never stop chasing the next opportunity. They become part of a unique culture, one that values resilience, resourcefulness, and a certain boldness that's hard to find anywhere else. Moscow's energy is infectious, and for many, it becomes impossible to imagine living at any other pace. The city adapts to you, offering whatever you seek: a vibrant nightlife, a world-class cultural scene, or the chance to build a career that would be out of reach anywhere else in Russia. Yet, the city's success comes with a cost. The wealth and opportunity concentrated in Moscow have left other regions struggling to keep up, fueling a sense of division that's hard to ignore. The Moscow effect is real, drawing the best and brightest away from their hometowns, leaving behind communities that feel increasingly disconnected from the capital's rapid progress. It's a dynamic that raises tough questions about the future. Can Moscow's prosperity be shared more evenly? Or will the city's dominance continue to widen the gap between itself and the rest of the country? Despite these challenges, Moscow remains a place of hope and inspiration for millions. Every day, people walk its streets, look up at its towering buildings, and imagine a future where they, too, can achieve something extraordinary. The city's story is one of constant reinvention, of overcoming obstacles and seizing new opportunities. It's a place where history and modernity collide, where tradition meets innovation, and where the next chapter is always being written. So is Moscow a blessing or a curse for Russia? The answer isn't simple. The city's power is undeniable, but so are its contradictions. What's certain is that Moscow will continue to shape the nation's future, challenging, inspiring, and sometimes dividing those who fall under its spell. And as the city evolves, so too does the story of Russia itself. The question now is, what role will Moscow play in the years to come, and who will rise to meet the challenges and opportunities that await? The city's fate, and perhaps the country's, hangs in the balance.